All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the December 7th, 2023 Des Moines Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Technical Committee. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We have quorum. We'll go right into item 2, vote and approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion and a second, please, for that item?
This is Rudy. I'll move to approve.
Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Mark. Okay, we got a motion and a second. And again, we're doing this meeting virtually, so we're not going to have everyone unmute and say aye. We're just going to have anyone who's opposed to the motion, please speak up. And so first, is there any questions or comments on the agenda? Okay, is anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, we'll consider that item approved. Thank you. Item 3 is a vote on the approval of the November 2nd meeting minutes. And so if we can get a motion on that, please.
This is Rudy. I'll move to approve.
Second, Huesman.
Okay, thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Chelsea. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or discussion on the meeting minutes? Okay, is anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll consider that item approved. That brings us to item number 4, a presentation on the Transportation Data Vendor Spotlight. Dylan, are you able to speak to this one?
Yeah, I can start this out. Good morning, everybody. We have something a little bit different than what we typically do this morning. I'm sure we're not unique in that we're contacted oftentimes by different consultants and vendors that have some pretty interesting tools available for us now. And this is something that we've looked at over the years. And these two companies we've talked to a couple times, and we thought they were worth bringing forward to the full policy or for the full tech committee to kind of get a sense of what's offered out there and see if this is something we might want to pursue. I would note that a couple of these two vendors, I believe, and then there's others we've talked to, offer more regional licenses to where the MPO might be able to hold a license and then make access available to all of our member communities. So that's something we want to, if we want to go down that path and start pursuing this, we wanted to make sure that this is something that you would find useful. And then we'd have to figure out all the costs and all that kind of stuff later on. But as we get into budget season, we thought now was a good time to start having these conversations and give you access to understanding what's out there. So we've got two firms today. We've got Iteris and we've got Streetlight Data. They're both going to talk for 15 minutes or so about their product and kind of show some demonstration and everything. After this, we will poll the tech committee to see if there's interest in pursuing any of these further. And if there are, we can set up more, deep dive demonstrations for anybody that's interested. And then we can continue to work on this over the next several months as we get our budget and so forth put together to see if this is something we want to account for in our budget and work program for next fiscal year. So with that, I will turn it over. I think maybe let's start with Iteris. And so I think we have Austin. I'm guessing you're the one we'll talk to. So feel free to switch over and bring up your screen and we'll go from there. Looks like you're muted, Austin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Dylan. Really appreciate it. My name's Austin. I'm the National Sales Manager on our ClearGuide team within Iteris. I also have two of my colleagues here, Scott Purley and Derek Kemp. I'll let Scott go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us here. I'm Scott Purley. I'm the Vice President of Solution Architecture and Analytics for Iteris.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Derek Kemp. I lead our software sales and customer success teams at Iteris. So really excited to meet you guys today and get to share a little bit about what we can provide to help agencies achieve their goals.
Thanks for that. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. All right, can you see my screen?
It's good.
Yes, we can, Austin.
Great. Oh, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak with you all. We've had a number of conversations with Dylan and a few other folks in the Des Moines area. We originally reached out because we work with a lot of different agencies who utilize our tool ClearGuide, which is our data agnostic transportation solution. Just a couple agencies that we work with currently, just to give you kind of a flavor. SEMCOG, that's the Council of Government in the Detroit area. We also work with Utah DOT, Minnesota DOT, City of Seattle, North Carolina DOT. So really a big breadth of different use cases in the transportation space. Our tool ClearGuide takes in lots of different amounts of data, and we make it very easy to use within our platform called ClearGuide. Really to reduce that manual effort, whether it's a floating car study or anything else manual where you need someone in the field. We really want to reduce those kinds of operations to help folks make quicker decisions and also data-driven decisions. We're seeing a huge interest, especially right now, around safety and mobility data. So we're really trying to incorporate more and more of that into our platform. So within ClearGuide, our tool, we really have three pillars. So just to start on the far right here is our ClearGuide signals. That's really at the intersection, allows folks to optimize things like arrival on green, split failures, really getting ahead of those citizen complaints for a specific intersection, which, as we know, can back up and lead to corridor issues if there's a big delay on a specific intersection. In addition to that, I wanted to touch on these other two pillars I have here, the middle one being ClearGuide safety. This really allows folks to know when and where speeding is occurring within a jurisdiction. Maybe you make changes to the roadway. We actually have historical data too, so you can go back in time. So maybe there was a signal retiming or a speed bump put in, or police was involved to slow drivers down. We have that historical data, so you can go back in time, and then also present day to see how did that affect driver behavior. In addition to that, we have our ClearGuide roadways on the left here, which allows you to analyze and track congestion. It's similar to a Google Maps or Apple Maps. You're able to drop a point A and a point B and report on things like travel time, delay, percentile speeds. Another thing I'll mention about ClearGuide roadways is because of the recent infrastructure bill that was passed in Congress, we're seeing a lot of those dollars flow down to the local level, and we're seeing a huge upswing in work zones. So we've had a lot of agencies interested in our work zone technology when it comes to our tools here. So tracking speeding in work zones, tracking our folks taking the designated routes around the work zones, what's the delay look like in a work zone. All of those things are easy to report on and also export out of ClearGuide. Just to dive into the platform specifically to the Des Moines area, I took this screenshot within our platform a few days ago at around 8 a.m. So what you really see here is ClearGuide allows you to get an X-ray kind of view of a greater region. And this is all done without hardware in the field. So that's hardware you don't have to maintain or hardware you don't have to work with when it comes to inclement weather there. And you're able to report, like I said, on a number of different metrics like travel time, delay, speeds. And we have here this little time slot so you can go back in time to earlier in the day if there was a crash, or if you're interested about commuter time, let's say. Next, I wanted to show one of our current customers here, Hillsborough County, down in Florida. So similar to the Des Moines area MPO, it's a multi-jurisdiction area. And within ClearGuide here, they're able to collaborate since they all use the platform to know when and where. In this example, this backup occurred on this bridge. So in this particular picture, you're going to see what time the backup started occurring. You can compare that from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Obviously, there was some additional traffic here. And then this allows agencies to maybe if they have video detection or some other kind of detection out there in the roadway, they can kind of collaborate, with that and say, okay, what happened? What exactly are we doing about it? In addition to that, I wanted to point out our historical data up here in the top right corner. You're going to get the historical speed compared to what it is right now. So right now, it looks like it's 20 miles per hour lower than the historical average. Just giving you a frame of reference of what we normally see on this roadway compared to now. Another client I wanted to point out was our work with Minnesota DOT. They actually use ClearGuide's API to link up with their digital messaging signs, kind of north of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. This allows them to instantly take our data from ClearGuide in terms of travel time and pump it into those DMS signs to give citizens and drivers accurate information when it comes to travel time, especially around work zones when delays can happen. And normally before Minnesota DOT started working with Iteris and using ClearGuide, they had previously put out hardware in the field, which added hundreds of thousands of dollars to their budget line item. So they were really pleased to be able to do this within the platform ClearGuide. Next, I wanted to show the Des Moines area. I had one specific example here where unfortunately a 9-car pileup occurred around this construction zone on I-80, kind of near West Des Moines, so west of the area. Within ClearGuide, you're able to see where that bottleneck occurred. In this particular example, I went back to the specific time where the crash occurred and was able to see here that there was around a 42-minute delay per vehicle on this roadway. And the reason I point that out is because when a delay like that is hit, you're going to have some cars come off the freeway, maybe add additional cars that aren't normally there on specific roadways, and maybe that affects signal timing, or maybe that allows folks in a TMC or kind of some operations center make some adjustments when something like that's occurring. And it looked like from this article that construction zone is continuing till 2027. And unfortunately in 2023, that was the 41st crash on that particular corridor. So just something to think about in terms of when it comes to crashes and delays, how that affects kind of those regional roadways as well. Another thing I wanted to point out within this particular corridor was our reporting mechanism. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott Purley here. Scott, if you want to go ahead and say a few words about this.
Sure. Thanks, Austin. So Austin showed you a number of sort of map visualizations of traffic data. You can also use create reports for routes. So as Austin mentioned, the A and B points that you can put onto the map. When you make a path, what you see in these two images is a contour plot of two of our applications. So the top one shows the impact of the closure, which is in black, and the crash queue behind the closure that occurred for this particular crash. You can also see in the bottom a separate contour plot that's in the pink. That is our safety contour. So that's using showing the percentage of people speeding over a certain mile per hour threshold. And so I've selected vehicles over the speed limit by more than 8 miles an hour. And what that shows is in the lower section right before where the crash occurs, The speeding is higher than the section above, likely because it's it's a work zone in that section. But essentially, the hours before the crash occurred, the speeding was around 50% of the vehicles were over 8 miles an hour, and so essentially you're getting people who are going fast into the construction zone, and you can quantitatively measure that impact for what this is occurring, and that might lead to different different sort of treatments of how the signage or the information to people that are going into the work zone, so that this type of condition doesn't occur. So these route reports are really flexible. There's also quantitative data you can get out of them. So you can do things like reliability of travel time index, planning time index, buffer time index for folks who know what that is. You can do travel times and other reliability metrics. Iteris also produces traffic volume data off of the samples of the probe data, so you can also import that into the ClearGuide application, and then you can do things like vehicle hours of delay, user delay cost, VMT, and other delay-based metrics that allow you to quantify the volume and speed delay impacts on the network. I guess maybe one other point to sort of point out here, at the top of each of these images, there are a few selectors. You can pick your quantity and granularity. You can pick your different metrics, and then we make these visualizations interactive. So if you click on the contour plot, it takes you back to the map at that time of day. You can save animations and favorites, and there's a lot of sort of neat functionality that's available within the application. It's hard to show in the quick demonstration here. And we also leverage a lot of useful map information, so you can see where the signals are, where the speed limits change, where the intersections are located, and so there's a lot of interactivity within the application that if anybody's interested in learning more about directly, we're happy to show as well. Austin.
Appreciate that, Scott. So next, just wanted to show you a little bit of ClearGuide safety, and then I have a quick video just to show you the platform. So ClearGuide safety was that pillar in the middle that allows you to monitor and rank top speeding hotspots. And then maybe there's some changes to the roadway. You can analyze the effectiveness of your countermeasures. And the site is very configurable. I'm going to get out of my presentation here and just pull up a video to demonstrate that. So here, maybe a full screen, but this is our client, the city of Seattle. This is just showing you the configurability of the site. So maybe you want to narrow down to a specific day of the week, a specific month, or just local roads or freeways. The site is very configurable. The city of Seattle uses ClearGuide safety in a number of different ways. They actually reduced their speed limits around town, so they were able to see how that affected driver behavior. In addition to that, we have this right here. So right now we're looking for vehicles going 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, but maybe you wanted to look for higher speeders. This can go up to 20, 25, or lower to 5 if you're interested in places with high amount of pedestrians, like school zones or other events where you have a lot of walkers. We're very transparent about our data, so you're going to see here the samples per mile we're picking up within our speeding map, and we rank them to kind of let you know, maybe help you prioritize specific roadways here. So in this example, you're going to see 58% of vehicles were speeding over the speed limit by at least 10 miles per hour. And you can go by specific time of day there on this corridor. And then just now turning it over to our reporting mechanisms, we allow you to break it down into two different we have two different time windows here that you can put just to do a compare and contrast if changes were made or if a work zone was opened up and closed. Just really allowing transportation folks to use this site and get the most out of it to make those decisions. But just wanted to give you a quick flavor there of one particular client, Seattle, and how they use ClearGuide safety. Let me just go back to my slide deck here, and I'll just wrap it up. Let me just jump ahead here. So the last pillar here was our ClearGuide signal trends. That was the pillar on the far right. So just to reiterate, this is really at the intersection. It allows you to analyze a lot of different things going on at the intersection without having to rely on hardware. Things like average arrival on green, delay per vehicle, turning movement percentages. So without having to maybe you have to deal with IT to get out there to put a server in or things like that. With ClearGuide signal trends, you're able to not only produce, but gain access to and utilize a lot of different data points for a particular intersection, no matter the connectivity there. So just to wrap up, before we kind of open up to questions, we really believe the ClearGuide mobility platform allows folks to manage congestion and traffic. We want to help folks improve roadway user safety through identifying areas of high speeders and really protecting those workers in the field when it comes to work zones. And then obviously with a place like the greater Des Moines area, you have, I think, around 700,000 folks, a lot of different intersections. There's only so much time in the day, so we think ClearGuide can help you prioritize what needs to be top of mind through our analytics. So I'll stop sharing there and kind of pause for questions. The last thing I'll say was we do offer free trials too. So if folks want to, get their hands in the platform and test it out, we are open to making that happen for the greater Des Moines area.
Thanks, Austin. I guess I'll start off real quick with a question. You mentioned that you talked about before and after studies, say before a project, after a project. How far back can you guys go? Like, I mean, is it possible? Let's say we had a project in 2021. Could you do a before and after study for that project now? I mean, do you have data back before then, or is it like everything moving forward?
Yeah, we would be able to go back. I would need that specific roadway from you, but we do have data going back to 2021. If you were interested in seeing something like that.
Is 2021 I guess what's your data source? Is it how are you collecting that? Like how are you getting the actual physical data? And I guess to further my question, how far back do you have data? Like 10 years or 3 years or
Maybe I'll answer this question, Austin. Stephen, that we have a data set that goes back from we supply data sets ourselves, and then we support other vendors' data sets. Our data sets go back to 2021 for our data sets. We're sort of post-pandemic-ish to data sets forward. We do support data from other vendors that goes back further. That's up to 5 or 6 years back in the past, so you could get some pre conditions and post conditions of pandemic time period. So ClearGuide itself supports data going back as far as the data exists, and then it's a matter of sort of enabling that from whatever data source is selected.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any other questions for our presenters at Iteris?
Yeah, Steve, but just a couple of questions. So the data that you're getting is crowdsourced data from cell phones, IP, or Bluetooth devices and such. Is that correct?
Correct. It's a mix of connected vehicle data and device-based data sets. So essentially, we're getting pings of speeding, heading, applying that to the links in the network, and then aggregating that up to the measures that you saw in the plots and reports.
Okay. Can you identify general trip origins and trip destinations and pair those up?
We don't do origin destinations. You'll probably hear a little bit of that in the next presentation because Streetlight does that sort of work. We do for the signals work, we do intersection based like turning movement counts and things like that. Turning movement percentages, not counts. So we know the paths that people make in short movements, but we don't do zone to zone based origin destination for our products.
And then the last question I have is, what streets, the examples you showed, several interstates, arterials, do you get into the local streets, or can you get onto anything that's, say, a trail, a bike trail, for example?
We cover the whole network. We can publish all the way down to local streets. Some of the data sources don't publish quite as aggressively. But for our clear data, which is the data set that we produce, because we like to stick the word clear in front of everything, that can go down to the local streets. And then for some of the applications like the safety application, essentially we're aggregating that data up from into hourly aggregates. So you can go like pretty deep into the local streets because we're aggregating that up longer. But we can publish on any roadway that we have data on.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from our presenters at Iteris? Okay, hearing none. Well, Austin, Scott, and Derek, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. Is this a PowerPoint that'll be shared with the MPO and that can be posted, or is that, I don't know if that's something that you guys wanted to share, but
Yeah, we can share some information.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you presenting this information. Thank you so much. Okay.
Great. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I understand we have representatives from our next presenter in Streetlight. Is that Julie?
Yeah, we've got Julie and Aaron. So turn it over to them.
Excellent. Hey, everybody. Welcome, or thanks for having us, I should say. Give me 1 second, and I am going to share my screen. Give me a moment. Hopefully this will cooperate. Let's see. Okay, Aaron, can you tell me if you can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see that now.
Perfect. Okay, so everybody, I'm Julie Herney. I'm the director of the public sector sales team for Streetlight. Been with Streetlight for about 7 years, working with DOTs, cities, counties, and MPOs across the country. I live in Northern Virginia. What we're going to do today, I'm going to spend about 2 or 3 minutes going over the highlights, but the vast majority of the time is Aaron going to be showing you local examples that Dylan was kind enough to provide us with, to see what the visualizations look like in the platform, so you could get a feel for what the data is going to look like, and the types of use cases that you can use it for. So what Streetlight is a mobility analytics platform. It's SaaS-based, meaning anybody on this call would have their own instance to where they could log into the platform, which you see on the left. And you can basically ask transportation questions on demand. And what you're going to get back is interactive visualizations on the desktop that you can view, or you can export everything through CSV, pull that into ArcGIS or whatever modeling tool you're using for further manipulation or viewing. How this all works is we're taking in a variety of different data sources. So location-based services data, connected vehicle data, GPS, contextual data, all this information, if you will, is being basically like a recipe, throwing all these different data sources into the bowl. Machine learning and algorithm processing is provided. What you're going to get out, again, is those interactive visualizations, all of the metrics that you're able to export and view, and then you can iterate on demand as needed within the laptop or pull it out. When you're creating these analysis, what you're going to do is go in and select the mode that you want. We have cars, trucks, bus and rail, bike and ped. So you're going to pick the mode that you want, the time period you want. We can go back as far as 2018 up until current. You're going to pick the mode that you want and then the type of analyses. And then you're going to get your results back in a matter of minutes up to hours, depending on the size of the analysis that you're running. And again, what you can do with this is answer transportation questions. So sometimes you might need to do multiple analyses. Part of what we provide as Streetlight is teaching you how to use the platform, but also providing you with best practices and use cases from, working with organizations like yourselves over the course of the year, over the course of the years. Many folks will start with a macro look, so understanding regional activity across the network. So for bike and ped and understanding the origin destinations or the volumes of bike and ped across the Des Moines metro area, down to what is the activity level on this particular trail? Where are people coming from or going to that are using this trail? How are they using it? All sorts of questions along those lines. And you can do that for, again, bike and ped. You can do it for trucks, is understanding truck routes and top routes across the Des Moines area, the MPO or the city. How are trucks coming in and out of the city? What routes are they taking? What percentage of trips are taking a particular route? Are they in the designated truck zones? Answer all those sorts of questions. And again, start at a macro level with national or regional looks, down to the city or neighborhood level, and then down as far as to a particular intersection. So whether you need origin destination, volumes, ADT, turning movement counts, speeds, there's all sorts of great information that can be provided within the platform. And I'm going to turn it over to Erin now to show you some examples, and then we can answer questions for you once she's through.
Great, thanks, Julie. So my name is Erin O'Higgins, and I'm a solutions engineer with Streetlight Data. And before joining Streetlight, I worked as a transportation engineer. My focus was in road safety design, and I'm based out of Ottawa, Canada, so I'm familiar with the additional challenges that a snowy climate brings to road designs, as I'm sure you know well in Des Moines. So I'll share my screen and show some in-app examples. Give me a second here. Let me know when you can see that, Julie.
You can see it.
Okay, perfect. So Dylan provided us with some context on the types of projects that you'd likely be using something like Streetlight for, and some specific locations of interest. So there are lots of applications of our data and many different analysis types within our platform, but I'll start off with an active transportation example and a road safety improvement case or use case, and then I'll wrap up with more of a corridor demand, corridor planning example. So what we're looking at now is a 3D visualization of pedestrian volumes along Euclid Avenue and the surrounding streets. So the higher the bar and the darker green the bar means a higher pedestrian volume. And as I move my mouse along each individual segment, you can see in the top left the actual volumes along each segment. And so this visualization is a really great place to start, of course, and we can dive a lot deeper with our data as well. So we can filter for a specific day type or day part. So right now we're looking at all days. You could run this analysis for a specific day of the week, or we can filter in here for weekends versus weekdays. We can also choose a specific day part of interest, or we can look at the distribution of the volume distribution throughout the day. So if I filter in here to look just at pedestrian volumes throughout the weekdays, we can see that pedestrian volumes peak around the peak PM. And if I change that to filter for weekends, we're going to see a slightly different pattern. So a peak at midday and a more consistent pedestrian volumes throughout the day. We can also see that the pedestrian volumes are particularly high right near the park on the weekends, which makes sense. So this is a really great way to get a sense and a visualization of how pedestrians are moving throughout your city. And you can run this analysis in any region of interest. We can also get more specific data on the pedestrian trips that are happening. So if I look at, if I select trip attributes here, we can get a distribution of all these trips by travel time, so how long these trips are taking. So a lot of these trips are over 30 minutes of walking. as well as trip length, so mostly under a mile, and trip speed. And this same analysis type can be run for pedestrians as it is here, or it can be run for bike trips, as well as vehicle trips. So it really gives you can get a full picture of what's happening in your region of interest. And of course, when we're looking at, when we're thinking about road safety and the safety of our vulnerable road users, having a sense of that, the volumes and trip volumes is a big part of that. And the other really big part is vehicle speeds. So I'm going to switch over to a different analysis type, and we're going to look at vehicle volumes and vehicle speeds in the same area. So this is that same, we're looking at that same area, Euclid Avenue, and right now we're visualizing vehicle volumes. So I'm sure if you're familiar with the area, it's not surprising that most of the vehicle trips are happening right along Euclid. And if I run my mouse over that, we can see that the typical volumes along here are in the 14,000 to 16,000 vehicles a day range. And we can see that the side streets, obviously much lower traffic. And thinking back to that pedestrian example, we saw that a lot of pedestrians were choosing to walk along Oak Park Avenue or some of the side streets. So that makes sense. They were looking to not be on the really busy Euclid Avenue. And if I, so the other thing we can get out of this analysis type is vehicle speed. So I'm going to filter for for average vehicle speed and right now instead. And now we're looking at a distribution of vehicle speeds throughout this whole region. So as I run my mouse along the segments along Euclid, you can see the average speed here is 36 miles an hour, slows down a little bit to 28 as vehicles move further east. And we can also get speeds along all the other segments I selected for this analysis type. So Oak Park, where we saw lots of pedestrians, average speed is 24 miles an hour. And yeah, so this distribution is really valuable when it comes to looking or thinking about vulnerable road user safety and road safety. And vehicle speeds are a metric that can be really challenging to get and to get accurately, because even if you do send someone in the field, often that can skew the results. And using Streetlight, you can get these vehicle speeds on any segment of interest throughout your whole region. So there's a lot of value in that when it comes to road safety. Another metric you can get out of here is you can get some congestion metrics. So congestion percent for any of these segments. So that's this is an interesting one, because we're seeing that the congestion along Euclid Avenue is not very high. A lot more congestion along some of these side streets. And the congestion percent metric is based on the time it would take a vehicle to travel through the segment at free flow speed versus at the time we're looking at. So the congestion might change a bit if we look specifically at weekdays. Changes a little bit. I'm sure traffic impacts or rush hour traffic impacts, of course, the congestion metrics on any road. So I'm going to switch gears from here. This was the road safety use case, and overlaying this data together, of course, gets you that full picture of where pedestrians or pedestrians or cyclists or any vulnerable road user is at risk for fatal crashes with particularly high speeds, and can give you a sense of where to allocate traffic calming resources to slow down cars, that type of thing. And from here, I'm going to pivot, and we're going to look at more of a corridor planning and corridor demand use case.
As Aaron's pulling that up, just some of the safety aspects to determining whether a road's a good candidate for a road diet, or what safety countermeasure to put in place. Those are other things that you can use it for.
Yes, thanks, Julie. So for this example, Dylan mentioned that the Amazon distribution facility is an interesting example in Des Moines. So I've run a top routes analysis for trucks coming and going from the Amazon facility. So the distribution center is shown here in blue, and the top routes are highlighted with the highest, it's a 3D visualization, of course, and the highest volume shown in red, and then going down to green. And this is showing, I ran this analysis for truck mode only. So this is showing the top routes for where truck traffic is aggregating on which roads to and from the Amazon facility. We can also filter in here for heavy duty and medium duty trucks. So if I zoom out, we can see that this analysis is goes very widespread. We can see, and right now we're looking at routes from the zone. So routes that trucks are taking leaving the Amazon distribution facility. And this extends all the way out. You can see the trucks going down to Kansas, all the way to Kansas City, west to Omaha, and up north. It extends all the way up to Minneapolis. So this can give you a really big picture idea of where traffic is aggregating. And if you zoom in, it can give you a more detailed picture and can provide you data on cut-through traffic, so where trucks are aggregating maybe in places you wouldn't expect them to be or wouldn't want them to be on, and this analysis can be run with vehicles as well. So if you're looking, I know there was another example that Dylan provided us looking at cut-through traffic from downtown Des Moines to, I think it was Ankeny suburbs. So, oh yeah, right up here. So that would be another use case for this, and you'd be able to run that analysis and see on what like residential roads vehicles are aggregating on that maybe you wouldn't want them to be, and be able to understand that those patterns and design your corridors accordingly. So I will show you one last example, just because I know this is sort of the bread and butter of many, probably for many of you, or something that comes up a lot. So another feature within our platform, or another analysis type, is turning movement counts. So I know in my experience as a traffic engineer, I was working often with out-of-date turning movement counts or single-day counts, or counts over a specific week, and that can be challenging when you're looking to invest in designs that will need to suit your roads for every day of the year. So since our data is aggregated over time, Streetlight can get you turning movement counts for any intersection that you need, aggregated over any period of interest. So you can run the analysis for a whole year or for a specific season. So if you want to know the different patterns in the winter, or just a school year, if you're looking at an intersection near a school. This specific example is run at Maury Street and Southeast 14th Street, run for all of 2022. And within minutes, you can get a traffic flow table similar to the ones that you're probably used to working with all the time. And this data can be exported into Excel and used however you need it. So that's it for my in-app examples. So as a transportation engineer, I see so much value in Streetlight's platform, and being self-serve, you can adjust the parameters and analyses to suit the exact needs of your projects. And it makes data collection incredibly efficient. And that aggregated data means that your decisions, transportation decisions and investment decisions won't be skewed towards any traffic patterns that are happening on the day or on the week that you did your data collection. And using Streetlight data, you can get data for any road segment, for any time of day, any day of the week, right from your desktop within minutes. So it's a very exciting and powerful tool. And at this point, Julie and I are happy to welcome any questions.
Yeah, I would just add one more thing too, is just one of the things that I've seen from working with agencies over the years is the ability to automate counts and have counts on virtually any road in your community. It's not just the arterials, it's all the local roads, and also being able to provide best practices for some of the smaller volume roads. We may not have, great coverage on that, but we can provide you with some sort of benchmarks on, hey, this is a really good use case for Streetlight versus not. And part of the service that comes with working with Streetlight is not only the pre-sale information, but post-sale. We offer customer success, onboarding, training, et cetera. And that's a huge part of the success, is partnering with our customers to teach them how to use the platform, apply best practices, and also connect them with other users in the community. So lots of great use cases, automating counts, whether it be volumes or turning movement counts, so that it's safer, faster, cheaper. To get counts across the organization. That's another big use case. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions though.
Thank you. I guess I'll start. Is there, I guess, similar question? How far back does your data go? So if we were to do before and after type analyses, and then also, again, still trying to understand like how you get the data. So
Sure.
like if it's Bluetooth, is it like really only a certain percentage of the, I mean, not all vehicles have Bluetooth technology, so is it not all vehicles? So I guess two-part question.
Yeah, and there's different coverage across different data sources, location-based services, that's apps on mobile phones. So if people have opted in, we're going to have coverage on some of the people that have opted in. It's never going to be 100% across any resource. Connected vehicle data, it's when that's available. So the coverage varies, and Aaron, you can jump in with what the estimate might be or what you might add to that.
Yeah, so the idea is that we get a sample of the actual roads on the vehicles on the road. And it's never going to be all the vehicles on the road because, like you said, not everyone has a GPS or location-based services enabled in their cell phone or a connected vehicle. Those are sort of all of our main data sources. But then we use that sample size and our algorithm expands on that. So our algorithm is trained on ground truth counters, we have over 6,000. Actually, it just went up to over 10,000 ground truth counters that are used to train our algorithm. So our algorithm then expands on that sample size to represent actual volumes on the road. And we have white papers on how that works exactly and on the percent error or the accuracy level. So the accuracy level that we end up with, but essentially the volumes that we're providing aren't just the sample that we receive. It's actual volumes in the road at that specific time.
Yeah, we try to be pretty transparent about that. So if anybody would like those white papers, you can download them right from the website. That does require you to put information in. If you want it, just please contact me and I'll give you the white paper directly.
And the other question you had was about the time period. So we do have data in our platform all the way back to 2018. So you can run those analyses over time. You can run the same analysis before and after to get that before and after study.
And you just are, your customers, do they purchase like subscriptions or data sets, or can customers hire you for a project?
Both are options. So we have lots of possibilities. So you can purchase access to our software platform and have that to use as much as you'd like, or you can have us run an analysis for you or provide a data set for you.
And let me expand on that. The vast majority of our customers, probably 90% or higher of our customers, license a SaaS-based solution. So it's a year-long license, either to do regional work or for a particular project. So you can use us just for a project. You can use us for, regional analyses. The licenses typically include access for agency members as well as consultants, your on-calls, so that they would have access to it as well. Again, the subscription is typically anywhere from 6 months to a year. Most of our customers use this for a year. We do have a services arm for custom work, or if you just don't have the resources to do it. So, but that's a very small part of our business. Most of what we do is teaching you how to use the platform yourself. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Julia and Aaron?
A quick follow-up on that, Julia and Aaron. What other agencies or entities in Iowa or nearby are using your platform?
Yeah, I'm happy to send a complete list of that. I don't have that off the top of my head. I will follow up with Dylan and yourself and make sure that we give a complete list. Yeah, we work with DOTs, cities and counties across the country, though. We have a list on the website if you'd like to see, and I'm happy to give you a more specific list for regional customers.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. And thank you so much for the opportunity to present today. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Julia or Aaron? Okay, hearing none. Thank you both for presenting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're happy to share our deck. We'll get that to Dylan afterwards if anybody would like to see it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, Dylan, you're looking to have a further discussion in response to these, or is that a later?
I think what we can do, if people have comments now, that's fine. But I think what we would do is send out a survey. We do a post-meeting email that we send out. We'll just put a couple survey questions in there to ask, is this something we want to continue to pursue? Give an opportunity for people to think about this a little bit and then get back to us, and then we'll touch base after that.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Well, that will bring us to our, so be looking out for that survey and think about how is this something that might be useful for the MPO to have for all the MPO members to utilize if any either one of these data sources. And so please look out for that survey. Item number 5, that brings us to item number 5 on our agenda, and that's a vote on our calendar 2024 meeting updates. Gunnar, are you able to talk to this one, please?
Gladly, thank you. Staff is coming back to you with a recommendation for an alternative date for a meeting in April. You'll recall that the committee voted to approve the 2024 calendar year meeting dates, but raised a concern about the April 4th meeting date. Sounds like there's going to be conflicts for several representatives. So staff put a survey in the post-meeting email. Last month, 6 people responded to that survey. We had offered up 3 different alternative times. One was like the last week of March, and then we offered up the Monday and Tuesday of the first week of April. And of the respondents that we got, all 6 were able to make a meeting on the April 1st, the usual meeting time. So with that data, that's our recommendation for you today. We don't have a strong feeling here. If the committee wanted us to go back out and ask more questions or look for more dates, or revert to April 4th, we're happy to take any direction from you, but this is the best option that we have with the data available, so that's what we're presenting to you today.
Okay, are there any questions or discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion and a second to approve the 2024 meeting calendar dates as you see posted?
So moved, Huesman.
Thanks,
Second,
Chelsea.
Rudy.
Thanks, Rudy. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or comments on this motion? Is anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Consider this our 2024 meeting dates. Thank you. That's Gunnar. All right, that brings us to item number 6, which is the report on the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Discretionary Grant Program. Carl, are you available to talk to this one?
Yep, yes, I am.
Thank you.
Yep. So we had received several inquiries from members that had submitted applications with us for the CFI Charging Infrastructure Grant. Just a reminder, this is a grant that is to provide it's over 5 years. So this was just the first year that it was available, with $700 million available this cycle and $2.5 billion over the 5 years. We did submit our application on time, so we are still expecting to hear back. That was for 154 chargers in the region. We reached out to the project team and they let us know that we are expecting awards to be announced by December 31st. So we should be hearing back still this calendar year. And once we do, we'll be updating all of the member communities. So just wanted to provide a quick update on that, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Carl. Are any questions for Carl? Okay, very none. Thanks again, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to item number 7, report on the Des Moines Metro pavement quality forecasting report. Andrew, are you able to talk to this one, please?
Yes, I can. So in 2015, about 8 years ago, the MPO created a pavement quality forecasting report. This report projected pavement data using existing maintenance spending for communities, utilizing pavement management software at the time. It's still the same software we use, which is DTIMS. So this report identified the amount of maintenance spending that had to be spent by communities and regionally to maintain existing pavement conditions. At that time, maintenance spending was identified using the DOT's city operations and maintenance reporting. So the we're currently in the process of updating that report. We're utilizing additional information this time around. We're updating new cost factors. We're adding in some additional treatment types. Most notably, though, we are requesting that communities provide to us the estimated amount of funding that's to be spent on pavement improvements over the next 10 years. Previously, again, we had used the DOT's reporting on maintenance and operations. And at that time, some of the feedback that we'd received was that report wasn't always the most accurate. And so to ensure that we get the most accurate information, we wanted to reach out to communities specifically to make sure that we're getting the best data that we can. We're also going to be seeking comments just on our forecasting methodology, as well as the costs that we're including for those treatment types. As everyone knows, the cost to do pavement strategies is constantly ever increasing. We make sure that we capture the right funding for that. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can get that. All right, can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. So in the previous iteration of this report had us providing a paper copy. In the last few years, we've moved to being a digital platform. So this might look familiar to everyone. A few months ago, we reported on the 2021 pavement condition information. We didn't do any forecasting with that. We just reported on the existing and past data. So what staff has done is kind of taken a first stab at creating a report to show everybody how we're going to use the data. I want to remind everyone, and we included this in the agenda packet, this is not necessarily correct. We've just taken some data and input it. However, we want to make sure we have the best data. So don't misconstrue that this is the final report by any stretch of the imagination. We still have a lot of work to do and data or information to collect from everybody. But we just wanted to show you how we would use that. So there's a couple of screens to bring before you. I want to note too, this is a very interactive format, so we're able to make things bigger and smaller. First up is we're, just like with the last report, just wanted to highlight that when we do our forecasting, we want to look at what the amount of money that communities are spending on pavement improvements, and then the amount that's required using our DTIMS analysis. So we took some available information out of the DOT maintenance and spending reports, put that in, compared it. This is a way to compare that to what DTIMS tells us by community, the amount of money that's needed to be spent to maintain pavement condition. So we break that down by community. I won't go through that necessarily right at the moment, because we will be sending out a link for everyone to take a look at this after the fact and provide information and have more time to delve into the data. Kind of moving things around here. This setup that we have here is very similar to the pavement data that we had previously. We can jump around to different jurisdictions. So I just show you jump around. And when we do that, the data on the screen on the left and the screen on the bottom kind of changes to highlight that community that we've selected. So just kind of jumping around, just wanted to show that feature. You can see that we have a forecasted average PCI and then the breakdown by year on that forecast. And again, this is using DOT maintenance spending, which is not necessarily accurate. So again, this is not correct, but just to show you how we're going to use it, we'll be inputting that into DTIMS and then displaying it on this screen. And then there's a couple other things that we have. This just references, if on the left, the 2021 current pavement condition to compare it to your forecasted amount utilizing your existing spending. And then we also have some historic trend data. This table just shows you over time how the regional average has changed and how that compares to the targets that we have in our long-range transportation plan. So that's really what I have for you all today. We will take the next couple of months, get the information from communities, and then bring this back to everybody for an additional review. And again, I want to highlight what we're asking for as I'm kind of moving things around here is we want to make sure that this number, let's kind of highlight here, that the current annual roadway spending, this is just for pavement treatments, that we get that number from communities. So whatever the estimated amount over the next 10 years is, that's what we're looking for. So I will open it up for questions if anybody has any.
Thanks, Andrew. Anybody have any questions for Andrew? So Andrew, this will be a subsequent email that comes out that
Yes.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll send this all out and then allow everyone a chance to get us their data.
Thank you. Any questions for Andrew? Okay, hearing none. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Yep.
All right. That brings us to item 8, a report on the executive director search. Gunnar, are you able to talk to that, please?
Gladly. 1 second while I get the screen shared again. Okay, we want to provide you an update on the search process to replace our full-time executive director. A few highlights to share here and highlighted on the screen. The policy committee voted last month to retain a search firm, and the search committee recommended a team consisting of 2 of the top in partnership with Deibler and Company. And as everyone has seen, they've already started work. You should have received a survey from Steve. And if you haven't taken it yet, I know several of you already have. The returns are very positive, so thanks to everyone who has done that. But if you haven't yet, please fill that out and do so by the end of the week. Next week, we'll have a contract from them for the balance of work. They broke off the initial pieces into separate pieces so they could get started. But the contract itself will be voted on next week. We anticipate that passing without any issues. So assuming it does pass, this is what you can expect in the coming weeks and months. In December, they will help work with they'll update the job description and develop a job posting. Your responses to the survey will help inform that. We anticipate the position being posted on January 8th. And they've laid out a very aggressive timeline here. And the hope is to have the finalists selected and interviewed by the search committee on the 12th and 13th of February, so that by February 14th, if all goes to plan, the search committee would have a finalist to offer and a recommended initial offering for compensation. And the policy committee would have the opportunity to vote on that February 14th. So that puts us in the position to be negotiating a contract February and March and have an executive director on the ground in contract working no later than early April. So I'll pause here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them and answer them to the best of my ability.
Thanks, Gunnar. Is there any questions for Gunnar? Okay, hearing none. And if you did not, well, again, please complete that survey. If you didn't feel you get the survey, please reach out to Gunnar. But they need that survey completed here within, I would say, the next week. So please complete that survey. So
I'll add that we would like to have it by tomorrow.
Oh, my fault.
I'll make sure that the survey link is included in the post-meeting email, and we'll try to get that out this afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, yep. So appreciate that correction. So tomorrow the survey needs to be completed. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Gunnar? Okay, hearing none. Thanks, Gunnar. That brings us to item 9, a report on upcoming events. Z, are you able to talk to that, please?
Yep, thank you. You'll find upcoming events for the month of December and a little bit in January, both in your agenda packets and on the screen. For webinars, we kind of have a lot for December, so I won't go through all of them. But for events, I will highlight that the Iowa County Engineers Conference will be next week in Des Moines. If you have any questions on the webinars and upcoming events, please let me know.
Thanks so much. Z, any questions for Z? Okay, that brings us to item 10, other non-action items of interest to the committee. I know there's, Zach, did you have an item?
So Zach wasn't able to make it today, but I can speak to this one here.
Awesome.
If you weren't aware, the SDBG and TAP applications have been posted on the website. They were put up there last week. We're asking that applications be turned in by January 5th. There's a lot of information on the website, and it goes through all the information like we normally do. But if you do have questions, please reach out to either Zach or Carl. Zach's kind of handling the SDBG applications. Carl will take the TAP applications. either one can help with either of those. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll help you get the answers you need.
Thank you, Dylan. Is there any questions for Dylan?
Hey, Dylan, this is Mark Miller. Is the carbon reduction program application, is that a later schedule?
For the carbon reduction program, what we've been discussing and the direction we've got from our executive and policy committee is that we want to hold off on doing that until we get through the long range plan. And that way, if through the long range plan, we identify specific needs or something we can do a little more strategically with those dollars, then we would have the time to act on it after that. So we won't be asking for anything right now. Probably later this spring is when we decide on what to do with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dylan? Okay, are there any other non-action items of interest to the committee? All right, hearing none, that brings us to our next meeting date, which will be next year, January 4th, 2024 at the usual time. And Dylan, do we still think that'll be virtual or do we know yet?
That's really up to you and this group too. So I don't know that we have a burning reason that we would need to meet in person that date, but if the group's tired of doing this and wants to get back in person, we're all for that as well. So
okay. Well, maybe keep me posted if that, we discussed before if there was a point where the long range planning efforts would warrant people getting together. I think that was the thought, was when we get together, when there could be an item like that, would there be more discussion? So yeah. So all right. That brings us to our last item 13. Everyone have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.